Joe, thank you so much. Thanks for putting this together. It's a thrill to be around every one of you. But if this night goes any longer, I'm going to start to believe that the predictions about the rapture were true. That being said, wrestling fans from around the world and around the corner, brothers and sisters, rejoice! For on this day of the rapture, the Paragon of Excellence has returned to New England to proselytize, prophesize, eulogize, immortalize, and inductize the Ebony Blade into the New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. Thank you so much. Now I come at this from a different perspective than most everybody here in that my first encounter with the Blade was had nothing to do with the world of wrestling. It was on an altogether different cutthroat battleground, a bloodshed forum known as Boston College Law School. We were, don't hate us, we are in fact attorneys. And I know there are a lot of learned scholars out here, Nobel laureates and PhDs alike, so you probably already know this, but well, it's hard to find very good friends in law school, and it's even harder to find wrestling fans. So meeting up with Eric the Ebony Blade was a blessing in many ways. And the mix of law and wrestling was fitting because there are a lot of similarities between the practice and the art of wrestling. Namely, your success in both fields is based on your ability to tell stories. And that story can take many different shapes and sizes. Sometimes the story is Hemingway, other times Dr. Seuss, sometimes it's what the guy scrolled on the bathroom stall. But as a fellow litigator, I know of very few storytellers in the courtroom better than Eric Darnell Anderson Esquire. And as someone that's been involved in the business, I have not encountered a better storyteller in the ring in this region than the Ebony Blade. Now it is truly an honor to induct the Blade, but really it's unfair because I could just spout adjectives for 5 minutes and it wouldn't do him justice. The man is incomparable. He is the embodiment of a quote phrased by one of his mentors, Dr. Jerry Grant, who said, "The show starts when you wake up." And for 23 years in this crazy sport, all over the world, the Blade has been equal parts show and go. And when I say all over the world, I mean beyond just Maine to Connecticut. I'm talking about Canada and Japan and Mexico and El Salvador, Australia, Singapore. He opened for Rocky and Drago in the Soviet Union. He was booked on Neptune, but they never sent him the gravity boots. When he made it to this region, those worlds and years of experience was very necessary because this is a strange and frightening place. It's really unlike any other in that the fans are so passionate. They demand excellence, and if you don't supply it, they're going to let you know. And that's especially true in the backwoods, where the opinions are many and the teeth are few. My favorite story in wrestling with the Blade, I only got one story, promise. My first match managing him was at the Uxbridge Rod and Gun Club. And your first match for anybody, workers and even managers like myself, it's a very stressful thing on its own. Now imagine taking that stress and putting it in the middle of a gun range. So this was for the UCW at the time, and the Blade was taking on Tony Ruffo in the scene. The Blade was taking on Gino Martino for the title, and the plan was for Martino to go over. In the middle of the match, they decided that the Blade was the man that should be on top, and they changed the finish in the middle. The Blade goes over, wins the championship, and there we are. One roll of aluminum foil, and a victorious champion black man, surrounded by hundreds of rabid, angry Caucasians that are armed with live ammo. When I changed out of my soiled Kevlar that night, I I knew that we had something special. Now, the Blade came here later in his career, so he embraced the role of a mentor to so many of us coming up and finding our way in the business. And that was a real blessing to all of us, not all of us, most of us, that he was able to impart his experience, his ability to connect with the crowd, and his enjoyment of performing. Others of us who weren't as respectful, he was more than happy to share the sugar bowl. At the end of the day, the man is old school and demands respect. Now, those of us that have ever shared a locker room with the Ebony Blade know that he best exuded his excitement for the sport of wrestling through his sermons. And I'm not going to sermonize for you tonight. I'm going to leave that to the son of the preacher man himself. But I am going to ask you to rise up with your hearts. I'm going to ask you to raise your hands and wave them in praise. Thank you. This is a great. Thank you. Those three. Wave them in praise. I'm going to ask you to wish this man a happy birthday.
Hey!
And I'm going to ask for a hallelujah from the congregation.
Hallelujah!
Because for the Ebony Blade, this is your time. Please welcome the master of the sweet science, the badass black Brit, the English enforcer, the son of a preacher man, and tonight, the newest inductee into the New England Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame, ladies and gentlemen, the Ebony